Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Psycho Goreman. Sometimes you hear of a movie with a silly premise, and you think, oh, that's going to be a lot of fun to watch that, and it lets you down. It's never the cult movie you want it to be. It never lives up to the hype that's in your head that maybe even your friends are like, there's no way that movie's not going to be awesome. Well, I don't know about any of that trash, but Psycho Goreman is a lot of fucking fun. This is one of the most fun movies, period, I've seen in a little bit. I'm not exactly 100% sure who this is made for. If it was made for a 12-year-old me that isn't 12 years old now, or it was made for a 12-year-old now, I sort of don't really give a shit. All I know is that Psycho Goreman is a really funny, fun cult movie that harkens back to stuff like Freaked in terms of attitude and humor, or like Bill and Ted, things of that nature, but done in Trauma meets Power Rangers sort of way. It makes me probably think there's a deeper cut reference that a lot of this is coming from or something, but I think it might just be kind of like Power Rangers meets Trauma, but it is so good at that. I really loved it, and I'd heard critics talking about how much fun this was, and I was like, you know what, I would like a fun, culty, ridiculous sci-fi movie, and Psycho Goreman was here for me. Now, what Psycho Goreman is about is these two kids, a brother and sister, are playing this game that they call Crazy Ball, which is sort of a made-up game kids play where they make up the rules as they go along. It's sort of like Calvin Ball from Calvin and Hobbes. They play this game. They one of it, I think the boy loses, so he has to dig his own grave, and he's digging his own grave, and while he is doing that, he uncovers an ancient planetary destructive force guy. His sister takes out the gem, this evil horrible murderer who's killed and destroyed tons of planets awakens, but since she has the gem, she can control him and make him do whatever she wants. And the sister is a pretty evil little girl. Even though she's the younger sibling, she kind of gets away with everything and is really mean to him and everything like that. Now she has an intergalactic murdering guy who tries to tell them he's the king of nightmares throughout, you can't say my name, it's the galaxy knows my name is this and all this, and they're like that's lame, let's call you Psycho Goreman, because they're in elementary school. So he follows around and does their bidding and won't kill them because they have his gem, but then the intergalactic team of good guys or whatever finds out that he has awoken, and they need to go and try to stop him and send this robot angel thing to try to kill him, and various creatures who look like Power Rangers villains but with more gore and gross and stuff show up to try to stop him or try to communicate with him. And so it leads down to these kids controlling this ultra violent supervillain while also having to deal with various other crazy characters who are all done in these kind of practical effect suit things, and it just has a wonderful sense of humor about it. I don't really know if I can do this film justice, to be honest, describing it, because it is just I'm kind of smiling because I liked how practical it was with the suits and the things people were wearing, but it did it in such a way that you just admire the detail they had. Each character was very unique, by the way. There was one guy who's just a tub of guts and squirts blood out, has little legs, that was ridiculous. Then there was a woman who was supposed to be on Psycho Goreman's side, who was this evil witch woman, and there's I can almost describe everyone. And then there's the main antagonist who has these kind of robot wing things, and there's a brain in a vase or something. It was just all these weird sci-fi. It reminded me of watching Sci-Fi Channel, which I did a lot in the 90s, and watching some ridiculous B movie. But the plot and the fun this movie is having in this world, you can tell the director of this, who wrote this, Steven Kostanaski, I think, I don't know, sorry, really loves this kind of stuff, loves kind of 90s pop culture. I'm fairly certain this is very Power Rangers influence. I have not listened to an interview with the director, but there was a part in the beginning where it sounded like the Power Rangers theme to me. It was very close to that. It's like that's the kind of wavelength this thing is on. I don't even know like what year. Does it take place in the 90s or something? I don't actually know. Who cares? But it both is very respectful of the lore and all the ridiculousness going on with this, but also is like having a lot of fun with it and being silly, and like also the fact that this is very much like a silly kind of kids movie, but has like a ton of gore in it, and it doesn't feel inappropriate. They very much keep up that crazy kid energy throughout this film, which is like a really hard thing to keep up the way it does. It's just most films can't do that or have to center itself or be more serious, and this film like doesn't seem to give a fuck. It's just like a walking crazy Power Rangers cartoon with gore in it. It's like if you wanted the deboot Power Rangers mixed with a trauma movie, this is what you'd get by a director who really cared. And I like all the details throughout it. Like it almost has the perfect budget, because I know this kind of B-movie world. Like I've seen this B-movie world. This is the kind of thing like you felt like in the 90s, like your parents would be embarrassed for you watching on people like, this isn't good cinema. And this movie is like I don't give a shit, I'm gonna have fun. And that's like why I really like this movie. It's just like I haven't seen someone just own it so well in a movie in a while. It's just like it's not even embarrassed. It has references that are so obvious, like saying he came from the planet Gygax, was Gary Gygax, created Dungeons and Dragons. You know, they have him dress up in an outfit that looks exactly like Sam Neill in Jurassic Park. It has its heart on its sleeve. It feels like something regular show probably did. I mean, I don't think they did. It has so much fun with it. You kind of just want to go along with this crazy nostalgia trick. And I think also because it's such a funny concept, like this, like insane little kid has control of, you know, one of the greatest murderers of the galaxy, who's like destroyed worlds and like has done all these evil things and has fought back, and it can do all these horrific things to people. Like a little kid could have control of that, and it's like a funny, fun thing. Like it's not like, you know, morally wants to tell you a lesson or something. It's just like really just like these kids want to have fun with Psycho Goreman, you know. Oh my god, this is like such a ready to be viewed wonderful cult film. You know, I don't know how many people will see this movie or anything like that, but they're fucking missing out. Like this is the kind of cult movie I would watch way too many times back in the day, just because it's just like a good time. It's like, you know, having some cookies you like a lot or something like that. But, and also, you know, it definitely gives you a sugar high. Like it just, this director, I will say, like I don't think I've seen anything he's done before, but I felt like this just really, really showed a promise of someone who just loves movies and storytelling, but loves having fun with it, you know. And I don't know if this movie is perfect, you know. I think it sort of has almost the right budget for what it is. I like it sort of looking crappy and looking this way, but it's like crappy in a very detailed way. Like the way it sort of reminds me of Mystery Science Theater, because certainly they never had a high budget, but you'd almost want to go through like everything that was on in the background of the satellite love. Like what were the toys? Did I see the Millennium Falcon back there? And even though you knew that was shitty, that like there were only 4 people working on it, you get into it. And I think that aesthetic is like modern wise not something that's so cool for people, but like this movie, like with the various suits and the aliens they make in this, are done in totally like a crappy like 90s like Roger Corman way and stuff, but he's really good at it. Like I haven't seen someone do practical in a way that's this crappy, but also they're really good at being crappy. Like it takes a lot for a director to be in love with this stuff as much as he is. I think that's part of it. The parents' relationship, to be honest, I know, grew up with a lot of kids who were like the dad in this, who would just like honestly annoy you. That was the only part I was like iffy on, but then I was like, I don't know, I know guys who are like that. At first I was like, God, this guy's like a piece of shit. And then I was like, oh, your dad's like this in movies. And then I went like, yeah, I know jerks like this. So I don't know. I would have shoveled the thing back. I would have been annoyed about it, but I still would have done it. I just don't, whatever. Psycho Goreman is ready to be initiated with, you know, Killer Clowns from Outer Space and the Evil Dead movies and all that kind of stuff. If you like those kind of films, this is perfect to fit on that same shelf. You know, I don't know if it'll ever be the classic that it is or anything like that those are, but all I can tell you is I had a fucking great time with this movie. I think it's a wonderful piece of, you know, cult cinema of the 2020s of this decade. Probably one of my favorite cult movies to come out of this decade so far. It is, you know, 100% like the first great movie I've seen in 2021. This is only the second 2021 movie technically I have seen, and I would say it is definitely one of the best. It is just absolutely amazing. I really, really love this movie. Just the whole idea of it. The idea of it was one thing, but I think the execution, having all these crazy creatures that they turn this kid she liked into like a walking brain with tentacles. Like, it looks like that Power Rangers Super Sentai aesthetic that we all look back on lovingly. I don't know if I have a ton to really say about it. It's not so much you'd have so much to say about it, just more that I'm just smiling from ear to ear at watching just like this ridiculous, like, you know, funny gore movie, you know? I mean, it says gore in the title, so I guess you can. You know, if you really wanted Power Rangers to have the very well-made gore of Evil Dead and Dead Alive and things like that, that's what Psycho Goreman gives to you. And I don't know if I wanted this at this point in my life, but I certainly loved watching it. And I will definitely probably watch this again. I kind of want, you know, to be honest, I want the t-shirt and the Blu-ray and everything like that. I'm 100% a fan of this, and I will definitely think about watching more from this director. This was a great discovery of a movie, and it's wonderful that movies like this can still happen. Maybe it's just me loving the nostalgia factor of it, but I think it's more than that. I think it's the humor. I think it's the way it looks at the world. I think it's how going through like the Mimi character and how kind of evil she is, and that kind of character having control of it. It's almost like, you know, a Calvin type character in a way. It's not like a wonderful Elliot E.T. kid. Like, what if the person who finds that is an awful kid, and what can you do with that? And having fun with that character. In some ways it's like a small character piece, but done with, you know, blood, gore, and, you know, a bunch of nerd shit. And it's kind of like the right mixture of stupid, but also the right mixture of fun. And I just had a great time. I think this director really likes movies, and maybe just likes a specific type of nostalgia, but fuck, I mean, this movie's just so good at it. I kind of want to ignore when I usually roll my eyes at a lot of these things. I'm just like, I don't know, they're selling it to me. And I think that's probably hard in the modern context. We have so much nostalgia from creators and so forth, and that's something like you probably wouldn't think I'd even give a shit about at this point. But if a director can sell that to you this well and with this amount of fun and make it this enjoyable, I still think there's still some mileage in having this much fun presenting you this much nostalgia. So if you have seen Psycho Goreman and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.